that we'll be doing on these shows called Views Behind the Views, Behind the People, Behind the News. It's a chance to discuss controversial issues of the day with well-known experts in the field.
We do want to have it understood, however, that the opinions expressed by our guests are their own and do not necessarily represent the views of the Bob and Ray organization.
Also, they should not be construed as the opinions of this station or its subscribers or members of their families.
And it must also be remembered that questions asked by the panel are not designed to reflect any particular viewpoint.
We should mention, too, that our panel members are speaking only for themselves and not as representatives of their employers or members of their families.
But in any event, this program is presented solely for the enjoyment of our viewing and listening audience. And any rebroadcast or reuse without specific permission is prohibited.
Likewise, any admission charged by owners of radio sets for listening to this broadcast is similarly prohibited.
The entire contents of this program remain the sole property of the Bob and Ray organization and may not be used for any commercial purpose by the New York Jets or the Commissioner of the National Football League.
That includes reproduction in whole or in part, Ray.
Absolutely, Bob. However, it should be understood that portions of this program may have been recorded earlier for broadcast in this time period.
Now, this is done solely for the convenience of our audience and not for the purpose of editing or deleting controversial material.
In so doing, some passages that have been retained may be considered offensive by various ethnic groups or religious organizations.
Therefore, discretion is urged among members of such groups or organizations in listening to the material presented.
Parental guidance is also suggested, and in no case shall children under the age of 16 be permitted to listen to this program.
Now, this ruling applies not only to the public at large, but also to employees of this station and members of their families.
Any application for exemption from this order must be received in our office before midnight tonight.
And on all such applications, decision of the judges is final. And in case of duplication, ties will be awarded.
However, the awarding of all prizes is subject to availability. Substitutions for announced prizes may be made at the discretion of the Bob and Ray organization.
But in any case, at least half of this program must be completed in order for it to qualify as an official broadcast.
If less than half is completed for any reason, then the entire program will be rebroadcast from the beginning at a later date, as determined by the commission.
That's correct. Now, let's see, was there anything else we wanted to add, or we covered?
Yeah, some of our departing guests will receive gift packages of our subscribers' products.
Thank you for tuning in, and be sure to join us next time for a discussion of controversial issues on Views, Behind the People, Behind the News.
The preceding program was taped before a live audience and was not scheduled for broadcast at this time.
That's right. You know, I think I see some old friends of ours, the handsomely uniformed Bob and Ray guards.
Oh, the beautifully caparisoned guards come down, marching down the hall here to lock our studio door at the conclusion of each broadcast. I think I can see them coming
There
down.
they come. This is a ritual we've gone through for years. I don't know how many people.
35
remember.
years.
They come
These
in
guards
and
are closing the door.
what they do is hand over the keys, making sure.
If you're ever in New York, try to get here to witness this ceremony.
Well, we don't have tickets for it, but now they're almost ready for the actual locking of the door. Always scares us when we hear that.
Who comes there? Who's king?
This is
And
it.
all's well. Ask off the king by the center.
The keys are now have passed off. The studio door is finally closed and locked for another week. Now, as much as we dislike to do it, we've got to call a halt to all this frivolity and wrap up this edition of the Bob and Ray Public Radio Program.
It was developed and produced for the Radio Foundation by Larry Josephson.
Script coordinator was Carl J. Fat Chans.
Associate producer, Marjorie Van Hoveren. Music by Stan Free.
Additional dialogue by Chester Hasbrook Frisbee.
Our audio engineer is Mike Moran, and funding in part is from the National Endowment for the Arts and the New York State Council on the Arts.
Now, this is Ray Goulding reminding you to write if you get work.
Bob Elliott reminding you to hang by your thumbs.
For a free picture of Bob and Ray, send a stamped, self-addressed envelope to Bob and Ray Picture, Box 5000, GPO, New York 10116. That's Bob and Ray Picture, Box 5000, GPO, New York 10116.